Hey guys, Becky here with Design Bundles, and I'm super excited to have you join me today because we have a really great tutorial. Now we are using Canva as a little secret cheat, but guys, this works with Sublimation, Cricut, Silhouette Studio, all of the above, and you will soon see why. Let's get started. All right guys, so here we are in Canva. This is the Canva website, canva.com, all right? If you have not explored the options in Canva yet, I promise you it is a very worthwhile and mostly free website. I say mostly free because there are a few things that you can upgrade to the Pro membership for. I do have the Pro membership, but guys, you don't need the Pro membership to get the basic functions, and that's what we're going to work with today. So absolutely no pressure. I promise I'm not setting you up to have to pay for yet another membership, but once you get used to it, you may change your mind. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But let's go ahead and we will just start a new design up here on the right hand side. And let's see, what design do I want to do? It doesn't really matter what I choose, but let's do a postcard. Now I say it doesn't matter what I choose because I can change it once I get in here. I can come to resize at the top, and let's say I just want to do, we'll say a sticker. Okay, now I know this is used a lot for sublimation, and for sublimation it's going to be the same basic concept. The main thing that's going to change is you will measure the size of like the template that you're going to use. So this is not the effect that you're going to use necessarily for a t-shirt, but this is going to be great for, a coffee mug or a license plate or something like that. As a matter of fact, I changed my mind about the sticker. We can still do the sticker, but let's do a license plate. I think that would be a really great project to show you how to do this, okay? Or a keychain, guys. Lots of really fun things. So a license plate, typically you're looking at 12 inches by 6 inches, right? And we'll just resize that. Now let's talk about what we're going to use today. We're going to go to our uploads, and we are going to go to Upload Media and upload from the device. I'm going to my downloads folder. The first thing that we want to do is bring in our bleach circle. Okay, then we will go back and go back to downloads. We're going to bring in a beautiful butterfly pattern. All right, let's just choose this one. It's actually the flowers. And one more thing we're going to bring in. Back to downloads. This is an SVG file, okay? Now I could have brought in the PNG, but the SVG file is more versatile, okay? Let's start with our background, and we can just make this larger until it incorporates the entire design here, okay? And see those cute little flowers? All right, really like them a lot. Now let's bring over our bleach effect. And this is part of why you have to use Canva, because you're typically speaking not going to get a good bleach effect. At least I did not in Silhouette Studio. So if we can set this up and then we can save it as a completed design to use in our software. All right, is that making sense? And I can even, let's see, well, let's start out with just one in the middle. Now let's bring over my SVG file. I can make it larger, and then I can even change the color of my SVG file to match or contrast with my the color of my design here. Okay, I want to do a darker color. Let's see, I want the navy, but I want it to be just a little darker. So I'm just going to drag that down. So let's see, what else can we do? Make this just a little bigger, put it in the middle. And just for the time being, we're going to send to back so that I can move that back out of the way. Now, obviously my design, my bleach effect is not quite as large as my design, so I can even create multiples. All right, so you're not limited to just that circle. Does that make sense? And you can make it, as big or as small as you want, whatever is going to look good. Okay, so there we go. So that is a very simple design. Now, I'm not going to lie. I changed my mind about the license plate. Let's forget I ever said that. Let's make a round keychain. Let's talk about how to do that. But first, we can go ahead and download this one. I mean, there's nothing wrong with downloading these copies to it'll download to your downloads folder. Okay, and let's give it a name. We're just going to say bleach. That way when we hit download, that's what it's going to download as. I am going to go ahead and I'll take it all the way on size and hit download, and it's going to download it straight to my downloads folder. Now let's go back to resize. Let's just do a 12 by 12, like if we were working for, in our design area. Then zoom in a little, not a whole lot, but then we can make this bigger. Now it does have the guides. You see those purple lines? Those will help guide you on the center, but I mean, really that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and download that one also. And one last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little bit smaller version. I created a smaller version, that way I have more of my flowers around the outside. So let's download that one too. All right, now let's talk about actually using these designs. Let's go. What I'm going to do, I'm going to jump over to Silhouette Studio, and we will take a look at not only what I was talking about with the original bleach effect and why I didn't want to use it directly in Silhouette Studio, and then I will bring these in also and be able to just show you how to work with it for either, like I said, a sticker, or we can use this for a keychain. You can use this for, a print and cut on vinyl. Like, there are a lot of things that you can do with it after you get the design set up, okay? But you can use Canva, you can use the free version and set up these designs and use them in a multitude of different softwares, okay? All right, so in Silhouette Studio, let's take a look at what I was talking about. We will go ahead and bring in, well, first let me open a File Explorer window. And what I can do is just drag and drop what I'm working with. Now, these are the designs that we just downloaded, so you can see that they're there. All right, but let's drag in, we need our pattern. Now, when you're doing the drag and drop, just make sure, you can kind of see what's happening here. Just make sure that you're not dropping them on top of each other. Okay, does that help? When you drop them on top of each other, what that does is one will replace the other. Okay, and sometimes these designs can be a little large, so that's something to keep in mind too. It can take a minute for them to process. Okay, so let's move this to the middle. But as you can see, the bleach effect immediately has the red cut lines. But that's not the worst of it. And I don't mean worse, but that's not the only reason. All right, because we can change those either to white or transparent. We don't need the cut lines, okay? Because definitely this is not something that you want to cut on the software for sure. But when I move it over to the middle, you can see I don't have that pretty true feathering bleach effect. Okay, now, if this was the only software that I was comfortable with, or if I was okay with how this is a little bit more of a blunt edge, then that would be fine, okay? Because you guys know I'm a big fan of Silhouette Studio, and the same is going to be said for Cricut Design Space. This is what's going to happen. You're not going to actually have the actual fading effect that you get with the bleach. Okay, so once I get the same design set up, let's just group it together. Now remember, what we're dealing with here is actually pretty large. There's a lot of detail in this bleach design, so just be patient with your software. It just looks easier when I'm recording it that is going to be working with it yourself if you decide to work with it in Silhouette Studio. But I'm going to move this off to the left, and then I'm going to bring in the one that we made in Canva. So as you can see, when you put them side by side, there really is a pretty big difference. And while I could make do with using it in Silhouette Studio and getting the design that's on the left, the one on the right, you just really can't dispute that that is truly the bleach effect that we're going for. Okay, so hopefully this made it a little bit clearer, because like I said, and really guys, Silhouette Studio, Cricut Design Space, while they have features that we love and they're really user friendly, they're not really created to be true graphic design software. And that's okay, because typically we don't need those functions. But for something like this, having a free website like Canva to do it for us really, I feel like, makes a pretty big difference. So let's get rid of that one that we were working with to show you the example, and we'll stick with this one from that we made in Canva, okay? So let me delete that out real quick. So now back to our original design, which is also easier to work with, might I add. Let's say we're making a round keychain and you want to make a template, okay? All you have to do is draw your circle. Say our keychain is, what, 3 by 3? then you can just size it down. I'm going to use the center to page, and I'm just going to keep sizing it here. Let's do 3 by 3 on our square. And zoom in. And then I can select both of these. We're going to open up that modify panel and use crop. Now, if I was doing Cricut Design Space, I would use the slice tool, and this would do the exact same thing. But now I can use this for, and I can fit this to any size template. I'm using a circle, saying I'm going to use a keychain, you know. The license plate design, really, it didn't work out for this. Really, it was the SVG file. The SVG file was not wide enough to where maybe if I was going to use it for a monogram, that would be okay. But anyway, let me get back on track. Once you get it in here, now you can, you know, either save this to your file to be able to save or to be able to use in like Creative Studio or something like that. But you could have used the original in Creative Studio too. But this is just in case you need to set up your template and get that sizing exact, and you're already using Cricut Design Space or Silhouette Studio. Now you can bring in this finished design and use it with your templates, and even print straight from here, whether you're using it for, like I said, stickers, or if you're going to use it for, you know, a coffee mug, for sublimation, for keychains, for anything. Once you get your design set up in Canva, you can bring that design over and use it for just about anything. So hopefully this made sense for you guys. Hopefully it was a tutorial that you found useful. I certainly really like the bleach effects, and hopefully you do too. So let's wrap it up. So guys, how did you feel about learning to use the bleach effects? Okay, now I know that using Canva is a little bit of a workaround for you guys, but I promise it is totally worth it, because there are effects that you can get in Canva that you're not going to get in Cricut Design Space or in Silhouette Studio, okay? Now, of course, like I said, if you have a proper designing program or graphics designing software, then I'm sure that that will be absolutely great for also using the bleach effects. But in the meantime, the rest of us can use this workaround to really get the most bang for our buck, in my opinion. So, you guys know I'm a fan of Canva anyway, and don't forget we do have that beginner Canva video. So, lots of really fun things to check out in Canva, and now you can add the bleach effects to your crafting arsenal. I'm going to wrap it up for today, guys, but I appreciate you stopping by. I love all the support that you show for the channel. Make sure you subscribe, okay? You can even turn on notifications that we know when all of our new videos post. And guys, thanks again for stopping by today. I do just really appreciate it, and we will see you again next time.